Welcome in. You guys know me. I'm Caleb Schulke. I'm the host of the Ascended podcast, which we're doing right now. TikTok, I'm getting you guys in here so you can see a little bit better. Finally have our podcast up professionally on TikTok, which is just off screen here. If you're on YouTube, Rumble, might be Whop, it could be Instagram. Welcome in, all of you guys. It's gonna be a good show tonight, and hopefully I'll leave an impact on you guys. We're gonna get straight into it because I have some meetings after this, so I like to keep things short, but also as impactful as possible. Imagine a business that you run, a brand you own, a social media account, and imagine that you could get 50% more members in just a few months, simply by making it hard to join. And that's exactly what happened in this Clubhouse app that I've came up with, that I studied. This isn't my app. I'm not promoting anything. I did a research study a little while ago, and this comes from growthmodels.co. It's a website. This Clubhouse app jumped from 600,000 to 2 million users in about 1 month. We start this episode with that lightning fast growth. It wasn't magic, it was mystery. Clubhouse's invite-only launch created massive buzz. Here we hint that the Syndicate is going to work the same way. And I want you guys to be aware of exactly how these structures work, how we built a massive following of business around a simple business practice. It isn't flashy or mainstream. It thrives on being quiet and exclusive. And if you're here, well, lucky you. You have the opportunity to be where no one else isn't. What if I told you that there's a network hidden from the noise of the world that doesn't exist among the common structures of things? The brain actually is built to reward secrets. The way that we think, the way that we act, our dopamine circuits are wired to find hidden treasures. Why do you think Easter eggs are such a big thing online? Finding the little holes and flaws in the system, red teaming, right? These concepts of being able to find what other people can't find. It's always been exciting, right? We've done scavenger hunts as kids. We've explored the unknown. We've constantly celebrated those who were willing to dare explore what others couldn't. The oceans, space, right? Different parts of our country. Research shows that dopamine spikes when we uncover hidden information. Kind of like anything, right? Like getting sugar or finding, pleasure, like watching a pleasurable movie, whatever it is. The same with this point. A marketing study found that giving people a tease or sort of a hint of what's coming can boost engagement by around 30%. That's not even just a slight acceleration. That's statistically significant. 30%, if you give people teases of what's coming, just like I have on this podcast, just the same tactics you guys can recycle into your marketing. This is step one of psychological influence. Understand the way people think and use that against them, not in an illegal way, but in a way where you can position yourself with power and influence. Those of you that stay around, that listen to the lessons that are about to come in this podcast, you guys will feel the pull of the unknown, things that haven't made sense to you before. But if you pay attention, if you study, and if you actually grasp what I'm saying, your life will change. There's something called the velvet rope strategy, and it's what I want to get into. It's kind of the strategy beyond our brand's hype as a whole. It's all about building anticipation by essentially gating your access into something, right? The velvet rope, guys. You ever seen the movie theaters or like the VIP of concert events, right? You have that thick, cordy, velvety, pipe rope thing that separates, right, the exclusive area from the common area. And you want to be in that VIP club. You want the VIP pass. You want to be seen as someone who has elite access, not just somebody who is let in, but somebody that is welcomed in. The script might say, think of a VIP club, guys, as a way to bring yourself into a position of difference from what the world is offering. Anytime you can offer something that isn't seen before, that has its own unique value, you're creating a VIP type environment. If you can change your offer in a way that hasn't been seen, if you can provide benefits that haven't been seen, if you can just sell your offer or speak about what you have in a way that hasn't been seen before, all of a sudden you have something that nobody else is doing. It doesn't matter how unoriginal it is, really. As long as you can change the words to be purposely different from your competition, then you have something that's different. And other people will at least be curious. It's only in these models, these bullshit models, where people are just copy and pasting the same drop shipping store over and over. In fact, I've seen people advertising, hey, we'll build you a drop shipping business. And in reality, it's just the same blueprint copied and pasted. And you wonder why these things aren't successful. Well, literally because you're competing against people with the exact same business. Probably people that are better than you if you're brand new. And so you wonder, why would I ever take advantage of this offer other than convenience? Because I've conditioned myself to just look for the easiest thing. Something that's going to work for you is going to be purposely difficult. Think about a relationship, right? You're not going to look for the same romantic partner multiple times. You're not going to go back to that toxic ex, right? That bad situationship and try to make it work because you understand that's not going to fit your needs right now. Either you have to grow and change or they have to grow and change. Whoever's fault it was, probably a little bit of both of yours, but you're not going to go looking for the exact same thing in the next partner. Now, that's exactly the way consumers think in business. When you offer something that's the same on the market as somebody else, and especially if they've paid it any interest before, they're going to say, I've seen this. He's basically doing the same thing. But when you strike yourself in a way that's different, right? The Lamborghini experience, right? Where they bring you a coffee, right? They sit you down. They really make you feel welcomed as a guest in the dealership instead of just, hey, how are you doing? What do you want for a car today? That's what gets people to pay the high ticket prices, the VIP things. Every mention, guys, let me talk through some things. And I'm gonna pull these up on my laptop real quick. These are some stats about how it is. Thanks for staying patient, guys. I know it's not fun watching me type. 87% was the fact. 87% of all buying decisions start online. 87%. That's essentially saying that almost everybody that's going to buy something does research on it online first. At 99% of people, and this is actually 99%, I'm not just throwing that number out there. 99% of people don't control their digital identity. So the question is, who is? Because if you're not controlling perception, then someone else is. And that's just not saying that somebody's manipulating your own persona. It's saying that other people are beefing theirs up and stealing your business. So if you ever want to be successful online, the only way you can start that is to build a perception of your own identity in a way that's actually strategic. And the only way to do that properly is to know the secrets of how to do it. What if I told you that there was a way to position yourself in the world where people needed to come to you? Even if you have no skills, I can teach you how to position yourself in a way where people need you. Need you for what? Well, that's exactly what they find out on the backside. And that's what you sell. This seems a little meta, right? But stay with me. Now, a lot of times what you do is you sell the thing you're doing. And so what I've done is I built a community, and again, this is my insider secret, of people, but all I'm doing is proving exactly what I'm doing. My credibility comes from showing that I'm literally doing the thing that I'm teaching. So what I do is I teach you guys, first of all, how to figure out who the fuck you are. What does that mean? Well, not just what society teaches you, but the actual truth about who you are and what the world looks like that you will never know just watching this podcast. You have to go deeper. You have to join our community. I'm not going to tell you here. And that's what creates exclusivity. First, I break down exactly the way the world works in a way that will literally piss you off. It'll drive motivation from within because you're not going to accept this stuff at first. It's deep. But when you find out the truth about what's actually going on in our society and in our world, you're going to want to change things. Phase 2, we take the identity of you being upset with the system. And we figure out not only what you're going to be and who you want to be within that system or breaking free from it, but how you can sell yourself as a brand. Now, there's a difference between an individual and a brand. An individual is who I am as a person. It's the way I look, the way I talk, the way I act. Now, a brand is the associations people make with me. Do I perceive myself as luxury? Do I wear nice clothing? Do I look presentable? Could I be seen as more of a high-end person or a low-end person? What do you associate me with, more Gucci or Chanel? Would I be a Tom Ford type of guy? Or, maybe just Calvin Klein, right? Maybe I'm a PSD underwear model for, Shields, whatever it is. There's different layers, right? It's the associations we make that make us stand out in different ways. And we have to figure out exactly how to take the values that you have, especially after you learn the truth about the way the world works, which I've given you tastes of if you actually look at my content, and position yourself in a way where you are doing something that genuinely inspires value with it. That sounds very cheesy and abstract, and it's not something you want to start with, but it will change the way your future unfolds. And we associate that with how you're going to present yourself to the world. Those are the first 2 stages, right? So who you are, and then how you're going to associate yourself, and other people will associate you with a product. Phase 3, how do we build an actual business around this? So maybe you associate yourself with saving the ocean. Maybe you're an environmental activist. So phase 3 is going to talk about, how do I position that role as an environmental activist into an actual sellable item? How do I take that and make bracelets, right? Like For Ocean that sells these bracelets that donate to ocean pickup and make them a lot of money, but also help the cause and reinforce, that connection between the brand and what they want. And that's strongly felt by their customers. And then finally comes phase 4, automation, which is where we excel. Most people will teach you the basic structure of how to run and own a business, but they're not going to tell you how to scale that. And a lot of times you actually do have a good business model. You just need enough reps. And if you have automation working for you, then almost any idea is guaranteed to be successful. You need to test systems. You need to learn from people who are doing this. You need to have your own custom systems built. This is the start of the Syndicate, where we really perceive our value and why it's priced the way it is. Because people coming together have always made humanity better. It's been the start of the Industrial Revolution. It was the start of the Renaissance. It was the start of any golden age of society. The strong men and women, mainly men, right, coming together, in councils. Think about the American Revolution, the founding fathers joining together to make something great. It's in a group of people that are inspired along a singular purpose to change their lives and to really decode how things are working so they can come together and make something better. And you guys are definitely not going to do that in any mentor's class, any cheesy guru selling whatever the hell they're selling online. They're motivated to make money. They're not motivated to show you the truth. And the truth, honestly, pisses you off. It pissed me off. Understanding who's really running things around here in our world, and it's not political. It has nothing to do with politics. Understanding what's going on beyond the curtain, how money works, how business actually works from what they teach you in school and mislead you with, how to use that system and exploit the gaps to make money. We're not here to tear down the walls of the infrastructure and take society apart. We're here to hack it and to use the loopholes within it to make as much money as we can. I've mastered that. Other people have not, and that's where my value comes in. You're in a community that's taught how to leverage those things to build a face and build an identity that can be marketed out with a product and then scaled infinitely large. You guys could sell a cookbook and make millions of dollars in your first 2 months because you have a system that can sell it infinitely amount of times and isn't controlled by a massive corporation charging you high fees. It's a system that you decide what you pay, and you can sell any product day and night. You just need the idea, and you need to link that to a vision and a purpose, which is the brand. But you need to figure out what brand you actually care about, and you need to figure out what mission you actually believe in. Most brands start only at the business side of things. They'll show you the core fundamental phases of day trading or how to start the perfect e-commerce business. But what they won't teach you is how to align your identity with someone who is a trader, somebody that stock trades for a living, that is successful, because that important key piece is what's missing from when you're successful versus when you aren't. You think it's just a mindset shift. I did for a long time. And then I started to realize that there's more to the story, that we can rewire our brains and that we can control the perception we have of ourselves from inside using deep psychology. And that changes the way the world perceives us. In fact, most people won't understand what I'm saying here, but I'm going to leave a message that's very abstract, but only the real people will see it clearly. The world is a mirror. Relationships are almost my perfect way to identify these things. Let's talk about dating one more time. Romantic partners often show you the truth of your world. They'll show you your flaws, your communication lapses, your emotional outbursts. They'll hold you accountable if they are a good partner. And you'll learn a lot about yourself from the way you treat other people, specifically a loved one. That feedback is how we optimize our life. But also, if we can control that feedback and understand how it works, we can perfect any relationship. The same exact thing happens with business and money. Currency is literally a sea of current. Think about energy as a current, energy wavelengths, atoms, right? Flowing energy. When we can control frequencies and wavelengths around money to optimize those things and create a flow of energy instead of just trying to drop ship 101, then we're going to start making an insane amount because we understand how energy is really just represented in money. And we need to be optimizing energy, not the pieces of paper themselves or digits in a bank account. When you optimize the system, the energy that's outputted and inputted, and understand what's actually doing the work and leveraging AI to do the work at 1,000 times efficiency, you can make 1,000 times the amount of the standard labor wage because you don't need to hire 1,000 people. That's leverage. And leverage nowadays is the only thing that will set you free. You either work hard for a standard rate and you trade your time for money, or you create infinitely large leverage and create infinite wealth by selling something on a high scale to many, many people. We're here to do the second. But to do that, we need to create a reason for them to buy. It's about how we position ourselves. And I'm here to teach you guys how to do that. You see, the average person sees over 10,000 ads per day. I'm gonna say that one more time because it's gonna shock you. The average person sees about 10,000 ads in a day. No, you don't. You drive past maybe 80 billboards, right? Maybe you drive past 80 billboards. Look around. My camera, it says Sony on it. My iPhone, it says Apple on it. My desktop, it also says Apple on it. My watch, it says Tag Heuer on it. All of these things are marketing themselves to us. We just fail to see them. But our subconscious mind is processing everything. And it's the iceberg below the surface of our conscious mind. Our conscious mind makes us aware of what other people think of us, you know, how things reveal themselves, what's going on in the news, how information is spread, basic information. It's hearing me talk right now. But your subconscious mind is paying attention more than you think. Your subconscious mind is listening to me right now and thinking about why I'm saying the things I'm saying, thinking about if I'm actually telling the truth, if I'm lying to you. I might be lying to you. This could all be fake. I could be wasting your time completely. But I think most of you know that I have no purpose to do that because I make money telling the truth in a world where everyone lies. And that's where my value comes out. That's not exposure, guys. Seeing 10,000 ads in a day or 10,000 logos like you usually do, it's not exposure, it's reprogramming. If you don't sell, you're being sold. And the biggest thing I have to teach people when they start selling is you have to be pushy. You're competing against 10,000 subconscious logos in a day. Yours has to stand out and be in their face for them to recognize it. And if you think you're being too pushy, you're probably not being pushy enough. The way you be pushy is what matters. Do you scream in their face with words? Or do you show up more times than anyone else? One says something about your character. One says something about your wants and needs. It's your choice because they're equally, and in some cases unequally, impactful, because one is linked to multiple positive feelings that will last forever. 95% of purchasing decisions are made subconsciously. It comes from Harvard. 95% of the things we buy are subconscious. What happens is this. There's a feeling in our body. There's an instinct, right? It's called a gut reaction. And actually within your gut, there's a series of bacteria in your gut. It sounds really crazy, right? And there's a whole line of thought around this, that the gut bacteria, right, are linked to many nerve endings and signals that are processed by your brain. So literally you do get a gut reaction when something hits you uncomfortably. A lot of that is felt by that bacteria in your gut, and it sends signals throughout your body that is interpreted by your brain as discomfort. So when you say you're getting a feeling in your gut, a lot of times these metaphors, these sayings are the first signs to look for the actual truth. Because in this case, it is true. Why do you think Coke Zero contains chemicals that kill off his gut bacteria, that trigger false reactions, that numb those reactions? Why do you think these health products that you're being sold are really poisonous to the things that let you see the world clearly? I'm just asking questions here. Companies that tell better stories grow 22 times faster and better than their competition, essentially. That comes from McKinsey, the largest consulting corporation out there, soon to be surpassed by us, of course. No one buys products, they buy identity, certainty, and tribe. So when you're selling, this is rule one: don't sell. Make people understand that you are on a mission. And the mission contains several elements. It contains a basic state when you started, the inertia moment, right, where you felt some sort of conflict and you had to get into the journey, and then showing them the process that led up to now. Then they understand the full story, and humans need that beginning and middle, and sometimes even the end, to understand and trust you. When you don't tell your story and you don't let people know who you are or where you've come from, it's very hard to get them to commit to something, because to them, you could have just shown up out of the blue. This comes from our survival instincts. Think about it. If you run into a caveman in the woods, let's say a caveman that could speak perfect English, and they're telling you about, the lion that chased them for an hour, right? And then they had to hide in a cave, and then they waited all night in the cave. They're starving, hungry, and then they wandered through the bushes and found your tribe and are now asking for food. That sounds a lot more believable and respectful than someone that just comes out of the bushes asking for food. You know what I'm saying? In both cases, there's an ask, but in one case, you understand the context behind the ask. And that creates trust because it creates a sense of understanding. And if you can't understand someone, how do you expect them to participate with you? It doesn't make sense to me, guys. So I want to push this forward. I want to talk about currency as a whole and what's going on with currency. Before I do this, before I take this risk on, I have to let you guys know that everything I'm about to say is my own opinion. It's 100% protected speech. I'm not speaking for the military, of which I have a role, a government agency, or any organization. I'm just some curious person digging into this stuff. Think of me as your friendly, anonymous guide through these dry policy woods. I'm not telling anyone to break the rules or picket in the streets. This is about understanding, questioning, and quietly staying ahead of the game. That's my disclaimer. Before we get into this, I need to talk about what's called a stable coin, the digital dollars behind this whole thing. A stable coin, definitionally, is basically a cryptocurrency that's pegged to a real money, usually the US dollar. So the one of this coin that's digital, kind of like like money in your bank account, right? It's like a digital dollar. You can't see it, you can't grab it, you can't feel it. It's just a digital representation. And just like a bank account, you can send them to somebody through a cryptocurrency app, right? So it's basically like money in a bank account, and it doesn't exist in real life. There's no paper. In plain terms, it tries to keep one of these coins basically tethered or tied to a dollar. You'll hear coins like Tether, right? It's probably the most famous one, USDT. That's what the T stands for, which you can buy or sell for literally $1 US anytime. And people do that so that their money stays in crypto, right? You sell Bitcoin for US dollar Tether, and you're trading a crypto for a crypto. So technically, you never sold cryptocurrency. You just exchanged it for different ones. And that made it confusing for a while because you never actually cashed it out. So you never sold your investment, which means you didn't have to be taxed on it for a while. And this US dollar tether, right, kept it in US dollars. So if you want to go invest at a later point when Bitcoin came back down, you don't have to be taxed twice. But also, it's just a representation of a way to send US dollars to people without sending actual US currency. Another one is US dollar coin, or USDC, from Circle or PayPal. Together, they make up a couple $100 billion worth of digital crypto cash representation. The banks haven't fully jumped in yet, mainly because of unclear rules, which is partially why we're here today. Now, this is where it gets deep. I want you guys to just process again everything I just said. This is going to piss me off to talk about. Why do people use these? Why do people use digital US dollars, right? Imagine sending money abroad. Traditional transaction transfers can cost big fees if you're going through a bank. But by contrast, stablecoins are cheap and fast. An analysis notes that sending $200 through a stablecoin, right, could cost less than a penny versus $12 on banks. So people that are big players internationally, obviously $12, right, for $200, imagine $1 million. That's going to be, almost a few $100,000, or sorry, yeah, it'd be about 10%, right? So that would be probably like $60,000 essentially in fees to send $1 million. That would be insane. For small businesses and everyday people, that's a game changer. Venture firms say stable coins are, quote, the cheapest way to send a dollar. And millions of people are already using them for payments, savings, and even as a hedge against inflation in some countries. It comes from chainanalysis.com. Essentially, they're like carrying a safe with digital dollars across borders without middlemen, without needing transaction people in the middle. And you can just put it in your digital wallet and you can just carry it to a different country, right? You have US dollars in your pocket and you're not carrying a stack of cash. And anyone, anywhere can plug into that system, even from different countries a lot of times. So yes, stablecoins are in fact becoming a fast part of money systems, even if many Americans don't realize it yet, because too many of you are just numb to it. Critics and boosters both agree. These are digital dollars with real power. And that is the point of today's topic. Why is Congress stepping in? Last week, the U.S. Senate passed the Genius Act. Genius. Genius. If I spelled that wrong, it'd be kind of funny. A mouthful that stands for this: Guiding and Establishing National Innovation for U.S. Stablecoins Act. It cleared the Senate 68-30, with 50 Republicans and 18 Democrats in favor. A big bipartisan vote. If it becomes law, it would be the first ever federal framework for dollar-backed stablecoins, which sounds like a mouthful, but I'll explain it. In practice, the bill says stablecoins aren't to be treated like stocks or crypto tokens anymore, but as a kind of digital payment. It forces stablecoin issuers, who are banks, fintechs, and big retailers, anyone making these coins, to hold full reserves, like dollars in a bank, do regular audits, publish those reserves, follow anti-money laundering rules, and so on, which sounds to me like they're being the US government minting their own currency. That's just how it sounds to me. So basically, we're allowing companies to be the government and issue money. Regulators get new powers. Federal banking agencies will oversee the biggest issuers. Federal banking agencies will oversee the biggest issuers. I'm saying the important part twice. Smaller issues. Those with under $10 billion of coins in circulation would have the option to go under state supervision instead of federal, as long as state rules match the federal standards. In plain speak, let's dumb this down. If you're a tiny startup, you could deal with your state's regulators if they shape up, instead of piling into the big federal system. I'm not even why this is a problem, but I'm about to be. Don't worry. Supporters say this would finally clear up the confusion and make digital dollars safer and more widespread. Opponents say it's an uncontrolled experiment, putting crypto into the heart of finance. Either way, this one's moving fast, and it still has to pass the House, and there are other unrelated bills like the Stable Act in the House being hashed out too. Why does it matter? Why do we give a shit? Why does anyone give a shit? Well, you might be wondering, why should I care about some niche crypto law? It matters for a few reasons. One, the timing. This happened on June 17th. It was proposed in May and came out on June 17th. Surprisingly, right at the time of the World War III breakout, right? Everyone's worried about World War III. Meanwhile, this silently passes through in the Senate, giving private big corporations control over printing money. That doesn't look good, guys. Doesn't look good. You might be wondering, why would I care about it though? Because stable coins could touch your life without you ever realizing. Imagine your favorite app or retailer, like Starbucks, right, offering you a digital dollar in your account, kind of like they do, instead of a coupon, or your kid using a blockchain-based payment for games. Or think of faster, cheaper global money if your family sends cash abroad. If these digital dollars become mainstream, the rules we set today will shape who gets to create them and how they work. Now, the con, right, on the other hand, it's our money. If the big banks or tech giants dominate this new digital currency, it can make our system more centralized. It's giving power to elite corporations to not only see and issue money, but track when do you spend it? What do you spend it on? What political party are you supporting with it? Maybe your bank account gets temporarily frozen. Maybe when you go to buy that plane ticket, the transaction fails because of choices that have been made. Do you understand where I'm going without me needing to say anymore? If a huge stable coin collapses too overnight that a lot of people are dependent on, like the Chase Bank coin, right? And the crypto industry might go south, and that would impact everyone. So really, like, we're tying the welfare of these corporations into our country's success, which sounds like a pretty damn good deal for these corporations. I'm trying to figure out what I can say and not say right now. President Trump's family-backed startup just launched its own stablecoin, conveniently. At the same time, USD1. And some senators fear this law could somehow hand Trump's camp a boost. We're not naming names, but when leaders get personal stakes, the public eyebrows raise. It's a fine line here. We can fact check it, right? It's just a fact. But we definitely avoid trash talk. And some senior lawmakers want extra ethics on this bill because they're worried about conflicts like that. Because the way it was written was that the president and his family can issue these stable coins and make money off of them, but anyone else in Congress or the government can't. On the world stage, other countries are sprinting. The EU already rolled out its own crypto law called MiCA in 2024, and places like Singapore and Hong Kong are moving fast too. US lawmakers often talk about staying competitive, but one statement said we're years behind others on this stuff. So there's a lot of pressure to catch up on or risk ceding. At the end of the day, guys, there's lots of smart and powerful people paying attention to this. I'm just going to tell you how it was presented. I'm not telling you my opinion. I'm just going to tell you how it was presented, and I want you to do your own research and make your own opinions. Here's the facts, only the facts. This was proposed to the Senate on, I think, June 17th. The same day or few days, we're talking about nuclear strikes or missile strikes on Iran. Probably not nuclear, just regular strikes, right, on their nuclear facility. We're going back and forth. Social media gets flooded about World War III news, and that's all anyone can think about. This bill glides by the Senate, giving, more power, getting closer to giving more power to huge corporations with a lot of money and influence, more rights, and the ability to control the currency itself. That's a fact. These are all facts. The world stays distracted with World War III news. At the same time, bills like this are getting passed. What does that look like to you? Thinking critically. Let's use our brains here. When World War III is getting blasted on the news, but then bills like this are getting passed at the same time and not making the headlines, what's going on? I can't say more than this. I'm not allowed to say more than this, but I want you guys to think. Now, I've dropped a lot of heavy stuff, but here's the real kicker. Don't panic about the fact that this is existing, that we're going to have stable coins, that companies can privately issue their own form of money, and they can track them. They can see what you bought. They can see when you bought it. They can limit access to your money based on certain factors, or could potentially, right? If you supported a certain political, maybe your money becomes frozen. If you say something on social media, all of a sudden your funds are frozen. When you try to leave the country, your plane ticket doesn't go through. Don't panic, okay? I'm not trying to panic, but just be curious. Call this podcast the Digital Syndicate Report if you'd like, right? Because a lot of this information is only shared in the Digital Syndicate. And I'm not going to go spilling beans. I'm not going to go talking conspiracies. I'm going to get deeper on this stuff only in the Syndicate, because that's a space that I own and control, and it's a safe space for other people to do this. I'm not going to do this on a live stream. I'm just not. We're a quiet community of thinkers and makers, right? Of creators, right? Who value clarity and creative freedom, especially all of our freedoms. We don't need to start shouting slogans, right? Or burning midnight oil, hacking the system. There's no civil disobedience here. We do keep our eyes open and just share what we learn. And typically, being 1 or 2 steps ahead, understanding what's really going on here. And again, I'm not calling out something, but I'm saying being conscious of what might be happening allows you to take action and position yourself in ways that are going to make you money. And I guarantee that. I've made money thinking 2 steps ahead by asking, why is this on the news? What's really going on while this is on the news? What are the moves happening behind the scenes? And just saying, I'm going to ignore the news. I'm going to pay attention to what's going on behind it. And I'm going to choose to invest in those same things. If cryptocurrency is getting big investments, well, all they're talking about is war and famine on the news, I'm going to buy cryptocurrency because that's what the silent players are doing. Now, you guys do what you want, make your own decisions. That's just what I'm saying. In the few weeks ahead, we need to track this bill quietly, not publicly. Read summaries, ask questions, maybe chat with your buddies in tech or finance. If you're a builder, think about what this means for your projects. Maybe map out how you can comply or consider alternative approaches if these rules actually stick around. It hasn't been fully passed yet, but if it is, it's going to change the game. Innovation often thrives under pressure. Quietly building a new payment app or a tool could be a way to stay ahead of the curve without running afoul any of these rules. Remember, this is your world too. As much as things are influenced by the big players, even if you feel far from Washington, these decisions could steer the digital economy for a decade or more. So stay alert and be curious. You have to. Don't just take headlines at face value anymore. Dig into the details if you can. Even scan the actual bill text online. But most of all, keep building. Whether that's learning more, writing code, organizing meetups, or just discussing ideas with friends, maybe on some secure chat, wink, wink, inside the digital syndicate, we're a community of problem solvers. And that allows us to be 2 steps ahead. The digital syndicate isn't some official club. It's not this like, treehouse club thing. It's a mindset of people working together under the radar. It's private. It's private and gated for a reason because you have to be committed. But I guarantee if you're inside of this, you're going to see the success secrets, right? You're going to know what the information is and you're going to know where to put your money. You're going to know where to put your time. We're going to show you how to use AI to do that. And you're going to get there 10 times faster and you're not going to fuck up. Because right now you're following a broken code. You're following mentors teaching you information that is already past due. Drop shipping died. Affiliate marketing died. At least the way other people teach it. We teach a great system. Stock trades. You only hear the news after the big players already got in. They're using you as their exit liquidity with the news. You need access to information by seeing what's going on behind the scenes and making a move before it actually happens. That's our value. Because when you're in, you make money. And when you're not, getting beat by the same game over and over and wondering why you're the one that's losing. And I don't owe you any solace or, I don't feel any bad for you because you're losing in life, because you're getting your ass kicked, because you're not joining a group of people who are doing things the right way and having access to information that will guarantee you win. As always, we say, just stay curious, stay prepared, and remember, small steps quietly taken can lead to a big change later as anything starts. That's all for now, guys. I just want you to spread the news, and I want you to be paying attention to this bill in specific. Again, if you're new, if you haven't been paying attention the last few minutes, check out the Genius Act, GENIUS, and understand what that's going to do and change in the financial and crypto world. Understand the privacy implications of it. Every time we give up something for convenience and easy transactions like this is again being sold as, we give up privacy. And understand what someone with the information from these transactions can do. I can't make any more statements than that right now, but pay attention. The sources, guys, authoritative legal news analysis has been used for facts and quotes. For example, analysis notes the act has passed the Senate at 68-30. It comes from NewYorker.com. It defines stablecoins as payment assets. That also comes from NewYorker.com. And critics warn it'll make the financial system less and less stable. That also comes from NewYorker.com. We have links from payments.com, medium.com, wikipedia.com, reuters.com, all of these, so bankrate.com, a16crypto.com. There's research behind this, guys. Everything I just told you has been backed by all of these sources and more. Jonesday.com, chainanalysis.com. Yeah, I've done my homework here. Bankrate.com, I think I said them. I want you guys to do your own analysis. I want you guys to challenge me. Stand up to me if you think I'm telling something that's absolutely not true, because the real people that are telling the truth won't be afraid to do that. And with that said, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. If you're in the community, we're going to have a free training session on affiliate marketing and everything tied to that. Just let me know. If you're interested, you can go ahead and RSVP in the free community. And we'll see you guys inside the syndicate too. I'm Caleb Schilke. This is the Ascended Podcast. It's been great having you.